Hey, it's Sean Fennessy. We've got something special cooking on the Prestige TV podcast. I'll be recapping one of my favorite shows, HBO's Barry, every Sunday night with the writer-director star of the show, the great Bill Hader. We'll talk about the show's wild twists and turns, its special brand of dark comedy, and how it all came together. So on Sunday nights, immediately after a new episode airs, you can hear Bill and I break it all down on the Prestige TV pod. Subscribe on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements, so many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code VISIBLE24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. All right, it's official. I think I've discovered the ultimate coupling of all time. Like any good relationship, they really balance each other out. One is super sweet, and the other, well, they can be a little nutty sometimes. It is, of course, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. So perfect, some would call it true love. Find Reese's now at a store near you. Welcome to Bachelor Party. I'm Juliet Litman. We got a very special episode today. Not only do I have Callie Curry here. Hi, Callie.
Hello.
We are joined by special guest Kate Gallivan. Kate, welcome to the pod.
Hi, guys. Honored to be here. So excited. Baby's first podcast.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, ever?
Wow.
Literally ever.
Oh my God.
What?
So hype.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. Big day.
We've been talking about this for a long time because we were going through the bios when it was Clayton season. Clayton, sorry. I forgot when I was like Clayton season.
Interchangeable.
Yeah. And Callie was like, I know her. And we were really excited. And then you were great on the show. Not just saying that because you're here. We were big fans the whole time.
We were.
And delighted to have you on the podcast. So have you not gotten any other requests? Like what's going on here in Bachelor Nation?
Honestly, it's been like it's been kind of touch and go. To be honest, I've like really been like kind of switching gears and like focusing on work because I'm sure, as you guys can imagine, when you take a break with real estate, the pipeline kind of dries up. And so it's like coming back off the heels of the show, I'm like, okay, I got to like pound the pavement and like get some things in escrow. So I've been kind of tunnel vision, but this is like so fun and exciting for me. I'm so happy to be here.
Wow. Well, we're going to come back to your real estate job. We've got a lot of questions about how real estate works in LA, and you work at the Oppenheim Group. Do you still work at the Oppenheim Group?
Yes. There are texts from Jason on my phone as we speak.
Wow. This is a lot. This is a lot. Let's start with The Bachelor, though. Why did you go on the show?
So I want to just set the scene a little.
Great. Please do.
Yeah. I was sitting on the couch drinking wine with some girlfriends who I've known in LA for probably close to 8 years. I like found them. They're from the South too. Like we just kind of, gravitated toward each other. They're big fans of the show. They were like, we're gonna submit you for this. Like, we think you would be so good. You're not dating anybody. Like, let's just, fill out an application for you and see where it goes. And to be honest, I was like, cool, go for it. I'm sure they'll never pick me. Like, I am geriatric in like Bachelor Nation. Like, I'm about to be 33. So like, I feel like, maybe the window is closing for me. I don't know. I didn't give it much thought. Cut to it's, like in the summer, and I get a call from a casting producer and I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about this. Oh my God. Like, yes, I'm single. Yes, I'll do this. This is so crazy. And then, the rest is history.
Wow. So what was the application process? Did you send in a video? Did you fill out a form? Like, what was that like?
There were definitely a couple hoops to jump through. And it was interesting because like being in LA, I think I got to like kind of see things a bit more hands-on. I got to actually meet people, from afar. But yeah, there was pictures, there was videos, questions and things like that. which, I get. They like need to know kind of what's under the hood and how we are and things like that. So definitely like a lot of different versions of the experience, but it was so exciting to me throughout the entire thing. So I was just like, this is so surreal. Like the fact that this is actually happening right now is just otherworldly, to be honest.
Have you ever had aspirations to be on TV like at all? Or was this kind of just like a jump?
This was out of left field for sure. I mean, like, I'm not opposed to the idea, obviously, but like, it wasn't something that like, I was like trying to like cultivate or like manifest into my life. It was something where it just kind of ended up falling into my lap. And I feel really lucky to have had that happen.
Wow. Did you watch the show?
Growing up in the South, it was like around, it's like football and The Bachelor is like religion in that area of the country. And so like, I would watch with friends, but I wasn't a diehard Bachelor stan. Like I remember like after I got cast, I was like, I should probably like watch some like previous seasons to like get the lay of the land, and like see what this is about to be. But like nothing can really compare or prepare you for that.
I was going to ask, did it help at all?
In some ways, yes. Like understanding like, okay, there's like group dates and there's one-on-ones and sometimes there's 2-on-1s and like kind of understanding like the format of the show. But like, it's so different to watch from the outside as opposed to like actually like being in there, it's honestly night and day.
Which season did you watch to get a taste?
To get a lay of the land? I watched Matt James season.
Oh, no. I was afraid you were going to say that.
I watched Matt James season. I watched Colton season. And I watched like a little bit of Katie season. And then I like dabbled in Paradise a little bit too. So I kind of like tried to like, buffet style, just like test all of the different like, mechanisms. So
I feel like you picked a lot of crazy seasons.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. Well, and then like cut to like the season I was on.
Oh my God. Seriously. I have like a lot of very specific questions because it was such a crazy experience. But like,
wild.
I guess what was the biggest surprise for you? Because if you watch Colton season, you probably are like, so that he should, I don't know. Like, I think the takeaway from Colton season is like, oh, he knows who he wants very far in advance. And then Matt season is just a total tire fire. I don't know if, sorry to Warner Brothers and ABC, but it was just like such a complicated situation. And like Katie got so much screen time, but it didn't like, we didn't really know anything about Rachel. Like, so what was like the biggest surprise to you? Because I can't imagine what your takeaway would be based on just those seasons.
I mean, it's like, there's so many different factors that go into it. And like, it was such an uncharted territory, like going into something and not really like having your bearings and like having to kind of play where you stand and then watching it back and like seeing what things happened after I left, because like it for me, it kind of felt like such a like quick and chaotic. And then I'm like out, And so like to be able to watch what happened to like the rest of the girls after I left and just the way that things unfolded with Shanae and like how after she left, the connections that were formed and like seeing these girls that like I had connected to and made friendships with go, on this like wild ride. I mean, it really is just, you just never know. And like, that's also like a life lesson, it's like, you can't control everything and you can't possibly like predict what's going to happen. But like, I mean, I think, gosh, it's so hard to like nail down one specific surprise. The whole experience overall was like, so just like shocking.
Yeah. Do you think that you could feel who the connections were with super early on?
I definitely.
You mean Clayton's connections, right?
Yeah. I remember like night one, like watching him talk to Susie and just being like, I know that girl is a force to be reckoned with, like I like could tell that like I remember like just watching them talk and like watching them kiss. And like, I remember like logging that piece of information in my mind. I see this girl, But then there's other things where it's like, seeing like him with Rachel, especially like watching, the whole season, like the way that she looks at him was like so tender and so genuine. And that's not something that I was privy to when I was there, I didn't get to see that the way that America and like the rest of the country got to see that. But it's just like so sweet,
You brought up Shanae. What was the Shanae experience like in real life?
To be honest, I went into this giving everybody a healthy amount of grace, because it's just like, look, we're like living this experience for the first time. Like, I, as like a 32-year-old woman, have done a lot of self-work and like went into this meditating and journaling and like, being like very like ready and in my own body. But like, I don't expect everybody to have those tools, I guess. So like with Shanae, like when I met her, I didn't think that we were going to like hit it off and be homies, but I didn't think that it was going to go the route that it did. I thought that she was, from a small town and maybe hadn't seen much of the world. And like, that's fine. No tea, no shade. But like, I certainly didn't think it was going to be as sinister as it was,
Did she feel sinister in the moment, or only like when you were watching it back? Like, what was her behavior like on the off days and around the house and whatever?
She was fine, to be honest. Like, I didn't really spend a lot of time with her. Like, I hung out with different groups of girls and like wasn't trying to cultivate a meaningful friendship with her. I felt like we were different people, and that's fine. I don't expect for like all these girls to be my best friends, but with her, it was just kind of like, okay, like I don't have a problem with her, but I'm not going to go out of my way to like try and get in a deep convo or like peel back the layers and see what's going on. It was friendly and it was cordial, and that was totally enough for me. And I think she would probably say the same.
It seemed like a lot of women felt the same way as you. And so anyone that had any conversation with her, it seemed like she took that like to heart, because not a lot of people were trying to do that. Yeah.
And I also feel, grateful that I wasn't caught like, in the crosshairs of like the anger and the outbursts and the talking to Clayton about stuff. Like, who's to say how I would feel on the other side if that would have been me, but it wasn't. I feel like collateral damage in that, scenario, but like I definitely wasn't targeted, personally victimized, by Regina George.
What was it like? What do you do on the off days? Like, what do you do all day in the house when you're not on a date?
There's a lot of chilling. There's a lot of chatting. There was moments by the pool. Like I remember like Melina and Elizabeth and I had like a little workout moment where we were like, off the side, like doing crunches and stuff. There's like a lot of time to get to know each other. And it honestly was giving me sorority house vibes. Like, which is so fun. That was like my major in college was like Greek life, which, didn't get me very far in the professional world. And, maybe if I had some wherewithal, I would have switched gears. But like getting to like hang with the girls and just be at the house felt so iconic, like, oh my God, we're here at the Bachelor Mansion and we just get to like, cook dinner together and drink wine and like talk about boys. Like it was like kind of like almost a sleepover. It was really fun.
Sounds like summer camp.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, summer camp, like in a way where you're kind of just off in your own world and you don't have to worry so much about what's going on back home and like what's happening with other things. It's like it's such a cool microcosm of the world that was honestly like a nice reprieve, because we've just been through so much as a society collectively. Like I felt really fortunate to just kind of like be able to unplug a little bit.
It also explains why, and Juliet and I have talked about this a little bit, but all the time, every single season, people come off the show and they are like best friends. And I'm always like, I don't get it. You're on this show for a few weeks with this person. Like, did you not have friends before this? And then
that's always my question too. Did you have friends?
Yeah. And then you see people like hanging out together all the time. And I'm like, where are your real friends? But I feel like because the situation is so different and you went through it with this person and you spent 24 hours like nonstop. I think it's kind of the same way like as someone can actually fall in love with someone in this very short period of time. It's because you're with these people over and over again and you have very little entertainment.
Yeah.
Like you guys have to like figure it out together.
You are the entertainment. I mean, it's a time warp. It's like, of course you can fall in love here. Of course you can make best friends here because like it's a like dimension that like isn't happening at the same speed as like this one, Yeah. I feel super close to a lot of the girls and like I think that's also like just having a shared experience and like kind of being in this little group of people that just like understand, you know, you just get super close. And like for me, like I'm always of the mentality of like new friends are great. You know, I'm like
you're the anti-Drake.
Exactly. No new friends never resonate with me. I'm like, why don't you want new friends? I love new friends. Like maybe it, you know, I'm not at a level where like, you know, Drake's friends or like the new friends of Drake are probably like opportunistic and trying to take advantage of him. But like for me, I'm like, new friends are great. Like bring them on.
You've been on a reality show and you're reality show adjacent. You got to be careful. People are going to start trying to use you.
Snakes in the grass.
Yeah, seriously. So who do you still hang out with?
So gosh, who are my girls? I living in LA, there's definitely like a handful of us out here. Genevieve is one that I see frequently. I love her. NC and I hung out a bunch before she left. Melina and I will like go work out at Equinox together.
Nice.
But as far as like girls that I still talk to, I talk to Jill and Hunter all the time. I saw Tessa and Gabby.
I'm trying to remember who all these people are. Hunter, I feel like no one knew who she was. Yeah. And then on the Women Tell All, she like got a lot of screen time. So she came like roaring onto the scene.
Hunter was fighting for her life for sure. And she killed it. She's the type that like tells an amazing joke and like no one hears it. You know? Like,
she also is so one of the people that kind of got, you know, trampled on with all the Shanae stuff.
So. She did. She was definitely like in the wake of all of the Shanae damage. And that's unfortunate, but like, it's just, you know, it's the nature of the game, I think. But she's a sweetie. I like her a lot.
By the way, couldn't have bigger Gabby friends than Juliet, or fans than not friends. Wish we were
Gabby
friends.
Gabby is just the realest, like as they come. Like
Love
who
her.
she is steadfast and unchanging. Like what you see on the show, that's like how she is in real life, and seeing her kind of on the other side too. It's like you're in this like little pressure cooker microcosm. And so like, you're like, what are people going to be like in the real world? And like, she's somebody who like, we just instantly picked right back up where we left off. And we would like text about Euphoria because we were both watching. And like, she just is like, I can't say enough good things about her. I'm really excited to watch her journey with Rachel.
Me too.
I don't know her and I can't say enough good things about her.
Yeah.
She's one of my favorite people that has ever been on this show.
Yeah.
We also really appreciated her humor. Like she seemed to just like not take herself too seriously. So happy to hear that she's like that in real life.
She definitely is. And it's just such a breath of fresh air too, because it is an environment where like you are cognizant of what you're saying and the way that you're presenting yourself. And for her to kind of bring authenticity to that, I think is just such a testament to who she is.
I also think that like the combination of confidence and goofiness plays really well.
It's perfect.
Like, I mean, that's like a fun combination to be around, but
yes.
I also think it's really good for television.
Yeah.
Like it also differentiates you from so many of the women where they do not have that.
Yes, 100%. There's like a lot of depth and like the paradox, kind of like you said, of like, you know, it's just, it's so fun to watch.
They say to never meet your heroes, but I might need to meet her.
I think so. I think
Gabby.
you should.
Can we talk about the Women Tell All? So when we watched it, we were like, that man must be single. And so like when you were at the Women Tell All, what did you know about what had gone on in Iceland? And what was the vibe like in the room with Clayton? Because it seemed really intense.
I thought he looked like he was going through it. I thought he was single. I had no idea.
Had you guys heard anything? Because Teddy made that one comment of like, based on what I know, like, I hope you're okay.
There were whispers, certainly, but like nobody had any like confirmed evidence. Everything was like super like under wraps. And like, I get it, that's like what, it's a part of it. But I definitely didn't realize that he and Susie were together. I also, just based on his body language and just like his energy, I was like, someone should check his pulse and somebody should like give him a hug, like, are you okay, buddy? Like, damn.
Yeah, I feel like we concluded that he's obviously made some mistakes, right? He definitely could have done things better, but at the core, I don't think Clayton is a bad guy. I just don't know if this is the right platform for him to find love, although he did. So
yeah. And
It worked.
For
to
now.
echo that, like, I think it's probably really tough to be the lead. I think there's a lot of
Yeah.
pressure. I think like for us, going through it, we had each other. And for him, he doesn't have the same like, group of people to like comfort him and to be a sounding board. Like I think a lot of it, he's having to make decisions, and I can't fault him, for like stumbling along the way. Do I think he could have done some things differently? Absolutely. I'm sure he feels that way too. But Callie, like you said, I don't think he's a bad guy. I think he has a good heart. And I think he, was coming from a good place. I just think it's really heavy sometimes. And I think we can see, that kind of like taking a toll on him.
We
For
were really
sure.
surprised it wasn't Rachel. Were you surprised it wasn't Rachel?
Yeah. The like I said, the way that she looks at him and like just the like almost like tangible kind of connection that you can see, I definitely would have assumed that it could have been her. But Susie is a class act.
That's nice.
I can't say enough good things about her either. She and I have kept in touch a little bit after the show. We definitely were extremely close in the beginning. But a lot happens after that. But I think that she has the best intentions, and I think she definitely sees the good in him, and who's to say, what happens in the future. But I think for now, I'm like here for it.
That's nice.
yeah, I also like that Susie did things her way, which I think is really hard to do on the show, especially to your point. Like you end up, whether it seems anyways, especially even like in Matt James' season, whether you're trying to or not, you end up trying to please what you think people, maybe the producers, I don't know, want to see. And she was kind of like, I'm gonna do it how I want to do it.
Yeah, she did it her way.
Yeah,
It was cool.
she like stayed true to herself and like her values, and she like stood firm in who she is. And it is hard to like do that, especially, like you want to put your best foot forward and you want to like be the best version of yourself. But like there are so many elements and there's, so much going on in your head that like it's easy to kind of like get derailed from that. But I think for her, she was doing a really good job at like staying centered and all of that, like during the chaos. So that's like something to be recognized,
Yeah.
I have a logistical question
Yes.
that I'm not sure if I can ask or not, but whatever. It seemed
Kate,
that this
Kate won't answer if she can.
it seemed like this was the first season back where people are drinking some more.
I can't speak to like the level of alcohol from previous seasons because again, like I wasn't like a super fan or like privy to like what was happening. I think people were excited to like be back in the mansion. And I think there was definitely like a level of like, this is so iconic and cool. But I don't know how much I can like really divulge about the booze of it all.
Did
but
you
we
have
had
more
fun.
than 2 drinks per hour?
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough.
We followed protocol to,
Gotcha.
whatever the best of the ability is.
Related to that, kind of, did you know who Jesse Palmer was when you first saw him?
I didn't know Jesse Palmer from Adam, basically. I like
not watching a lot of SEC Network, even though you're from Tennessee.
I know I'm failing like my Southern roots here by saying this.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Middle Tennessee State. Go Blue Raiders! Nobody knows what that is because the football team isn't very formidable. But largest undergrad in Tennessee, like bigger than
Really?
UT. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I
So
would have, Juliet, you've heard of Middle Tennessee State, right? Or no?
no.
Okay, maybe it's from being from the South. You hear about all the different schools. So I've heard of it.
Yeah, MTSU.
I haven't. But so Jesse Palmer, you're just like, who is this guy?
Yeah, I thought he looked strikingly similar to another male on the show.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Jesse Palmer
him
is
a lot.
very good looking.
Yeah.
He's so much hotter than Clayton. So.
Like, can I have that one?
Oh my God. Did you get close to him? His eyes are so beautiful. I've
They're
never,
piercing.
oh my God. I've never met him in person. I've only seen him on Zoom, but I will never forget his green eyes. They are stunning.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Did anyone know who he was? Like the first night, was everyone like, who's this host? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, girls knew who he was for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms. This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements, so many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code VISIBLE24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Interesting. Okay. And so when you were like telling the other girls, your story and you're like, I work at the Oppenheim Group, did anyone recognize that from selling Sunset? Like, what was the familiarity with your day job?
There was a significant amount of familiarity.
That's really funny.
Yeah, it wasn't like unrecognizable thing. There was definitely the girls were like, that's so cool. Like, do you get to hang out with them? Are you on the show? It was cute. It was a fun little talking point.
So how many people work at the Oppenheim Group that are not on the show?
There's a handful of us, which is hard to believe because
not hard to believe. We've done a lot of research into this.
Probably too much.
Yeah. I have a lot of questions.
No, there's definitely a handful of us that are active agents who aren't cast members on the show and who go into the office and actually work. After this podcast, I have some showings and then I'm going to pop by the office and work for a little bit. So it is real.
Where do people sit if all the desks are taken? Or how many people are there at a time? That's one of our big questions. Where does everyone sit? Seems small. And also obviously on the show,
it's such a thing.
Conversation.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk around the desks, but mostly you just kind of get in where you fit in. And there's some days where they're filming and they don't want us to be in the office and taking up desks. So there's not a turf war all the time about where to sit. The majority of the time there's plenty of space.
Yeah. Also, so I'm assuming that the desks are kind of open. You go in and whatever desk is available, you're going to sit down at. They're not assigned.
Yeah. No, it's kind of just wherever. Jason always sits at the same desk. His assistants sit at their desks. There's a little bit of a method to the madness, but most of the time, I can just find a spot and post up. But the beauty of real estate is you're not clocking in from 9 to 5. You're out and about. You're in the world. That's what drew me in initially was just the flexibility and the ability to kind of make my own schedule and be out in the world dealing with people, but also be able to sit at home in sweats and a robe and do some things from there too.
You all can't see this, but Kate is looking very lovely today, not in sweats and a robe. So some days you dress up too. How do you get listings? That's another big point of contention. So how does it work? Do you have to bring in all of your own? Do they throw you some? What's the relationship and how do you get a listing?
The majority of my business comes from me, which I'm proud to say, and that is not always easy. a lot. And luckily, a lot of my business is referrals. So it's past clients who I've done a good job for either use me again to sell a property or refer one of their friends who's looking to sell or buy. So that's kind of been my bread and butter. There's also like a level. I mean, this market is really crazy. And I'm sure you guys have like heard about, all of the like, hectic nature of everything that's going on.
Yes.
So like I've door knocked this year, which was humbling to say the least. I have such an appreciation for like Jehovah's Witness or like anybody who's going door to door, because like it is so uncomfortable, because you could just feel the person being like, who the hell are you and why are you here? But like, I think if you open the door and it's me, it's the least aggressive version of the experience. So I've actually like had listing appointments and like met people through door knocking, which has been so funny.
Wow.
Do you have like a specific turf, and like do people in the agency, is it like if something were to come in and they were going to give it to someone, is it based off of kind of like she has experience in wherever, you know what I mean?
There is a level of like farming, like a specific area that you kind of nurture and cultivate. And that's one pathway. For me, I felt like farming was a bit limiting because a lot of my clients are my circle or my sphere or my friends, and not all of them can, afford to buy a house in the hills. So like for me, it's been a lot of just like client-based areas and like, kind of building on that. But it's like, it's so relational. It's all about building rapport with people. And like same with the office too. If you're showing up and you're doing a good job, then like, there's more business that's being brought to you,
Yeah. And so who from the show are you friends with? And also, sorry, before you answer that, you don't need to name names, but does everyone on the show actually work at the Oppenheim Group?
Yes. I think it's so
Even
funny.
Brett?
Yes.
Even Brett?
Yes. 100%. I think it's so funny, the conspiracy theories about like, they're not real agents. Remember Chrissy Teigen being like, I've never seen any of these people. And I look at real estate all the time. Like, well, first of all, being a realtor is like the most popular career choice in Southern California, other than like being a lawyer. So like, of course you haven't like seen everybody, like, unless you're like looking at listings every single day. Like it's, everyone
Also,
and their
like
mom
the
is a
same
real estate
listing
agent.
can have different people.
Multiple agents. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So can confirm everybody works there. Everybody is a licensed agent.
Wow. So then why does Brett have the Oppenheim Real Estate Group and Jason have the Oppenheim Group? Like Oppenheim Real Estate versus Oppenheim Group. I'm so confused by it.
I don't even know what that is. What do you mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Brett's got his own website and he's not on the O Group website.
Oh. Brett's a funny guy. I have like
that was his own
unique,
doing.
Yes. Brett. So Jason is the broker of the company. So it's like Jason is the person in charge, the person who owns the Oppenheim Group. Brett is also an agent, but Brett like also kind of like does his own stuff too. So maybe that's like where like a disconnect could be. But no, everybody's legit.
I have a follow-up question to Juliet's question. Has everyone on the show sold a house in 2022?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't I haven't seen the stats, like you could probably check the MLS and see, but like, I don't know. For me, it's like, I see, some of the people, like I've partnered up like with Mary on stuff. Mary's actually the one who got me the job.
Oh, really?
I just ran into her. Like I'd seen her out and about in the field doing showings. And I remember they had a listing that was on the show. It was French Montana's house. And I had a client who wanted to see the house. And so I was going to go preview for him. So I went and Mary was there like showing the house. And so it was me and Mary. And I was just like cracking jokes and like being myself. And she was like, you should meet Jason. And I'm like, okay.
I like Mary. So do you watch the show?
Yes, of course. You gotta smoke what you're selling. You gotta like get high on your own supply. So yes, I watch the show.
I mean, also I'm sure it's like anybody that has a friend that's on the show. You might not be friends with all of the women, but you know them, work with them, whatever.
Yes.
To a certain extent for whoever actually it does work. And so yeah, I would definitely watch if I were you.
Yeah.
I would too. What is to you, what's the fakest part of selling Sunset?
I think the fakest part is the like the actual process of purchasing a home. It's like they're like talking to the seller and it's like, okay, well, here's the offer. And then the other person's on the phone with the buyer and they're like, okay, here's what he said back. And then, okay, deal's closed. Now pop champagne. And it's like, what? What about the appraisal? What about like the inspections? Like there's like the not sexy part of real estate where it's like where the actual drama happens is like through the transaction. And like, they don't show any of that. It's all like, okay, here's the offer. Okay, it's accepted. Now we're like closing and moving on to like, fighting with Christine.
Sure. In New York, the property market is so hot that often to get a house, you have to forego inspections.
Yeah.
Yes. I had an
nuts.
offer on one of my listings that removed their inspection contingency. And I was just like, why? Like, you don't know what's under the hood, Yeah. It's such a huge risk, but like contingencies are being removed left and right. That's just like what it is right now. It's really, really intense.
God. It's awful. That is, I would absolutely never. What if you need a new roof, or what if like you need entirely new
mold?
plumbing?
And you probably will. Then there probably is. But for me, I'm so numb to like a lot of that because I see it every day. I'm like, oh, it's asbestos. Just like don't touch it. You're fine. But no, it's really crazy. And New York is an attorney state, right? So like the agents don't even duke it out. It's the lawyers, which for me, as someone who enjoys control, that would be really tough for me to take over, like, or hand over the reins, I guess.
Yeah. Like all closings are with lawyers and everything.
So crazy.
Yeah. So who are you friends with from the cast?
So friends with Mary and Amanda.
Nice.
Amanda is a riffer. You know what I mean? Like you like tell a joke and she builds on it and then you build on it. And it's like, I love like that type of humor. Gabby's the same way.
Nice. Amanda seems awesome. Yeah. And also like she's been through a lot and like doing great.
Totally. She's had a difficult hand dealt to her and she like has such a positive attitude and is so much stronger for it. I have the utmost respect for her. I like Mary a lot. Some of the other girls, like Heather's usually down in Orange County with Tarek. So I haven't spent a lot of time with her. I think she's super cute and like her on the show, like I want to be her friend, but I just am not really around her much. Same with Maya. Maya spends a lot of time in Miami. So I don't have like a super strong connection with her, but I think she's great. I also really feel for her with what she went through with the baby. So, always sending like good vibes and prayers for her.
I can't imagine having to rewatch yourself being pregnant after suffering a miscarriage. That is so
brutal, sad. So brutal. I feel for her.
Me too.
Christine, I have had limited interactions with, and I honestly really liked her. She asked me what lash serum I used. I told her Lash Boost. Shout out Rodden and Fields. That shit that your high school friends are selling, and you're like, this is a pyramid scheme, but it's actually not.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Wait, what about Chriselle?
Chriselle and I haven't spent too much time together. She is obviously very stunning and like a warm person, like really sweet. She's so busy. Like, I think like she's got her hands in so many different things. She wrote the book. She was on Dancing with the Stars. So I haven't spent a lot of time with her. But the time I have spent with her, she's been very engaging.
She's so sweet.
Yeah.
She does.
And she's like a down home girl, like the homegrown element, like I can definitely resonate with. So like I feel like we're cut from the same cloth.
So LA's such a weird place. Like, do you gravitate now towards spending time with like bachelor people or like, your work friends? Like who's like your crew in LA? Because it seems like sometimes people will go on these shows and it just like totally changes their social dynamic, like for understandable reasons. Like someone's once told me that like similar to this, but in real life, like all people want to do is ask you about like The Bachelor or Selling Sunset.
Yeah.
And so then like it reinforces wanting to be with other Bachelor or Selling Sunset people to like avoid those conversations. So like what has your life been like in the last few months as you've been, deeper into this world?
My life for the last few months has been like a tailspin of trying to find balance in like friend groups and work, and then trying to like maintain any shred of a workout regimen and also like save money and like, self-care. Like it's been a lot to juggle, to be honest, because like you said, there is so many different friend groups. Like Bachelor people, I feel so deeply connected to because of a shared experience. And because, even though I didn't find love on Clayton's season, like the girls were A+, and like I still have long-standing friendships with the majority of them. So like cultivating that in and of itself could be a full-time job. Like there's so many of us, and like, a lot of them don't live here. So like having like FaceTimes and like setting up calls and stuff just to like stay in each other's lives has been like so fulfilling, but also extremely like taxing. And then on top of that, there's like my coworkers who like I can't even really call them coworkers because like we're friends. Like I went to Coachella with them. Like there's that level.
Like with Amanza?
With Amanza, with Mary, with Romaine, with Jason and Brett, and like, a bunch of their friends, and then some other people who work there but aren't cast members. So like,
cool.
That those lines are blurred too, because it's like, I work with y'all, but you're also my friends, and you understand reality TV, and you kind of also understand this crazy dynamic of real estate in LA. So like, I do feel really connected to them too. But then like beyond that, there's my friendships from CAA, like my like girls who like nominated me for The Bachelor in the first place. Like there's like so many friend groups that I feel connected to, but like don't always get to see as much. It's definitely like a juggling act that some days I'm better at than others.
I gotta be honest, I'd be really bad at it.
It's hectic. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it sounds demanding. Also, I do think the public part of it must be overwhelming. You're like, oh, people like just feel like they can talk to me all the time.
Well, I had a TikTok go like baby viral, and then it like really shot off after season 5 aired. But it was like people like peeking in to the office doors.
Oh, right.
It happens constantly, and like the feedback has been like, why don't you just open the door? And I'm like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah. Also, you're like, I'm at work. I'm not here to chat.
Hi, I'm not a cast member. I'm actually like trying to write an offer right now. So like, can y'all like go away? Like,
do you think
so funny
that the show causes people to not want to work with Oppenheim Group or want to work with them more?
I think it's a mixed bag. I think the majority is like, it's good for business. People like the show or like want to feel connected. Also, it's like, it's so LA, it's like, that's showbiz, baby. Like people like love the glitz and the glamour and like, it being on TV. So I do think the majority of feedback has been people want to work with us. But I do think that there's a level of, people who turn their nose up, and it's like, well, that's reality TV and that's not real. And like, of course, like there's an element of that, but like it is based and rooted in like a real brokerage and like real people, similar to The Bachelor. It's like, we're all real people and we all are single and like want to find a partner. Like,
yeah. And you're like, maybe this could be it.
Yeah,
seems unlikely,
totally.
But maybe.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, stranger things have happened.
Yeah. Kate, one more question for you. And this is really important. On your bio for The Bachelor, you said that you went on a date with Harry Styles and that you would talk about it. Can you please tell us about your date with Harry Styles? And did you see him at Coachella?
And how long ago was this?
Yeah, we need to know everything.
Oh my God. The amount of DMs from like, just random people across the world being like, tell us about the date with Harry. I'm like, oh my God, I've literally opened a can of worms. It did happen. There's like a 20-minute version of the story I can tell, or there's like a brief synopsis. I think I'll stick.
Well, let's go with like 10 minutes. Give us as
Meet in
much
the middle.
detail as
Meet
you
in the
can.
middle.
Yeah. Okay. So I was an assistant at CAA. This was probably 2014. So One Direction was still together. I was 24. I had just moved here. I was like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And Harry, One Direction was a client, and their agent gave Harry my number. He asked me first, and I was like, yeah, sure. Harry who? And he was like, Styles. And Callie, who the agent was. Who I also was like, wait, you're hot too. Like, you can also use my number. So we texted a little bit.
You and Harry?
Yes.
About what?
it was so crazy. Like, it was like coming from like a Gmail. So I was like, oh my God, like, what does he like? It's just
So it was like an iMessage, like Gmail thing.
I'm like, oh my God. And like being an assistant at CA, you're like out in the hallway with all the other assistants. So of course I was like polling the masses because I was like, what do I say? Like, I want to be like cute and coy, but like not like playing it too cool. Like I definitely am like, I would take a bullet for this man. Like, well, how do I convey this in like a funny, charming way? So we like, we're trying to make plans. He originally suggested lunch. I knew that, lunch was like kind of a friend zone move. I also like can't like get a drink at lunch. I'm an assistant. Like I also can't be gone for a long time. So I just like made up a lie that was like, oh, I have a meeting at lunch, but like I could do dinner. And like assistants at CA don't have meetings. Like I don't even have a name on the email. It's like, so-and-so's assistant. So I was just like totally riffing, but I wanted it to be like a later in the evening version of the experience. And it was, we went to,
great move. You got to move it out of the daytime into night for a first date.
I agree. Daytime ain't it. Like the night I knew what I had to do. So we end up meeting at Petit Hermitage, which is a hotel in West Hollywood. Very low key. Pool. Yeah. No paparazzi. I remember like getting off the elevator and like the doors like opening to this like little rooftop like area.
Nice
and Harry Styles is just like sitting at a table for two. And I'm like,
and how old is he at this time? Like 18?
So I didn't know exactly how old he was, but I figured out real fast when I ordered a drink and he ordered a coffee because he was 20.
And that's not too young though. 20 to 24. It's like,
and I remember Jeffrey's assistant being like, oh, he loves older women. And I was like, older women? I'm 24. Like, what does that mean? Like, but
he does. He always dates older. That's true.
Totally. Which I mean, we love to see it. Go Harry.
Absolutely.
So I have my drink. He has his coffee. We like split fries. He's like asking me about my life. And it's like so tender because like he's so interested in like me and my story, which like honestly, thank God, because like what would I have asked him? Like, what's it like to be famous? Like everyone loves you. What's going on? Like it was such a like unexpected but like cute change of pace for him to be so like invested in like what was going on with my life. And then this will totally like date the story, but he was like, what are you doing after this? And I was like, well, my boss just signed Iggy Azalea and she's playing at the Wiltern because that was when Iggy was like everything. This is 2014. So I was like, I have to go to her show. They want a big CAA presence there. Like, but maybe we can meet up afterwards. And he was like, oh, okay, maybe. So he like drops me off at my car.
Kate,
which like at the time, what?
Why didn't you invite him to the concert? I'm so confused.
I mean, I guess it didn't really cross my mind that he would want to go see Iggy Azalea. I think he also had a dinner or something that like he had something, I had something, like our paths were going to diverge at this point. And so he drops me off my car, which the car I was driving at that point was this like beat to shit Volkswagen Jetta with like hubcaps missing and like the like side mirror would dangle off if you went more than like 10 miles an hour. So he was like, which car? And I'm like, like there's like a Range Rover in front of him. I'm like, it's that general direction. Like, it's fine. I'm like, I'm an assistant. I have like negative money. So he drops me off and gives me a kiss. And it's like, it's not like a make out, but it's like, okay, this is like a formidable kiss. So like I get out of the car and I just like start like mass texting everyone in my phone. Like, we kissed, we're in love. Oh my God. And then my phone vibrates and it's the Gmail that he's texting me from. And he's oh, would you want to like, have a drink before the show? And I was like, oh, I could be convinced. So he sends me this address and he's like, come here, have a drink before the show. So I remember like rolling the windows down and like starting to drive and just like breathing in the California air and being like, you have made it. This is exactly where your life was supposed to go. You're going to marry this man. You're going to quit your job. You have literally made it. This is like the stars are aligning. I'm like, winding up in like the hills. And I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I didn't know there were like bars up here. Turns out it's not a bar, it's a house. So I like go to this house and like, he like opens the door and I walk in and the door doesn't even shut all the way before he like picks me up and like slams me against the wall and we start like violently making out.
Oh my gosh. This is amazing.
A great story.
This
I
is
just remember, like,
amazing.
it was like so out of body. I was like, wait, like this is like every 16-year-old girl's like wet dream right now. Like this is so crazy. So we like make out, we like drink, we talk, we hang, we like kind of roll around, but like nothing actually happens because in my mind, I'm like, I can't do this. Like I just got this job at CAA. I don't know if this is okay. I also am probably like never going to hear from him again. I also am like on my period. So like, there's just like, there was a lot of like,
a lot of barriers,
like, you know, a lot of barriers, a lot of like the record scratch noise that like was happening in my head. And I'm like, just don't like, just not now. So I'm like, Harry, I gotta go. I'm like late to the show. Like, let's revisit this in like a week and I'll be like good to go. So he walks me to the door. I give him a hug. I like walk outside, get in my car. I'm just like, oh my God. Like, did that really just happen? I'm like screeching tires to the Wiltern to make it to Iggy Azalea. I get there. Everybody's like, you totally hooked up with him. And I'm like, no, like I didn't, like tampon still in. And they're like, oh my God, what? Like, that's like honestly a better story because you didn't. And I'm like, I don't know, is it? And then some of the other assistants were like, oh my God, well, he's never going to get over you because you didn't. And I'm like, this isn't like a high school jock in a Netflix show that we're talking about. This is Harry Styles. He could literally call like Kendall Jenner or like anybody to come over. Like this is not it. So a quick side note to this story is I had a little too much to drink that weekend and I dropped and shattered my phone. And so I like go to Verizon, a broken shell of a person with a broken phone.
You're like, Harry Styles is texting me.
I'm like, help. He might, I don't know. And they're like, well, we see you're still on your parents' plan. If you get your own plan and change your number, we'll give you a free phone. So I changed my number.
This
and
is
I get
so
a free
upsetting.
phone.
I'm incredibly upset.
So I've been telling myself he's just been relentlessly texting me for the last 7 years. In reality, I don't know if he would recognize me if we bumped into each other on the street. I would hope. I don't know. But yeah.
Wait, so you've never heard from him again?
He would like come in the office every now and then, and like every assistant would start QCing me like, your ex-boyfriend's here. And so I would like, I remember like bumping into him in the hallway and like giving him a hug and being like, how are you? And he's like, I'm so good. How are you? Like so sweet, very cordial. Like the way that he is like now is the same that he was then. Just like a like good natured person who just has like an ungodly level of like charisma and charm. And it's just like completely irresistible, but still so like lovable and down to earth.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
I don't know how you've never told this story.
This is such a good story. I'm so happy.
If you ask
exclusive on Bachelor.
Yeah, seriously.
I told this story in the house to a bunch of the girls and they were like,
yeah.
I mean, seriously, why would you want to hook up with Clayton when you've hooked up with Harry?
Truly.
There's truly opposite energy. Oh my God.
This is the most party I've felt on Bachelor Party.
Me too. I'm like, this is such a great story. I'm glad we got the 10-minute version. I wish I was there. My God.
Me too. And I hope I don't get a cease and desist from Harry's legal team.
Who's going to be more upset? Harry Styles about you telling the story or Ben Affleck from Emma claiming she matched with him on Raya?
Wait, what is the latest with that? I like saw the episode where she talked about that, but did he come out and say something? I don't remember.
Yeah. Wait, he denied it. And Raya came out and said that he hadn't been using the platform in the past couple of years.
But I don't think that she didn't say it was recent. It could have been a while ago, and she just like still had the text. I actually believe her. I just want to say I believe Emma.
I do too. I think it's a really weird thing
to make
lie
up
about. Yeah.
I agree. And like, she knew that this would come out and she knew that it would be a thing. So I don't think she had anything to gain by being like dishonest. Like I default to believing Emma too. I haven't spent a ton of time with her. But I mean, I think that she's like obviously really stunning and like seems like to be genuine and warm.
Wow.
I think it's true. I think he's embarrassed, and and I don't know why. By the way, she's a hot girl. What are you embarrassed about?
She's gorgeous, yeah. And
And
like
he was
we
probably
all have,
single. Like,
yeah, who cares?
we all have dabbled on Raya and like seen, you know, like people who we recognize. So I don't think there's any like.
It's thrilling.
I think it happened maybe just a while ago, and if I was
Me
her,
too.
I would post it and be like, "Fuck you."
Yeah,
too.
like here's the receipts. Let's go. Like,
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Kate, it was so much fun talking to you, and thank you so much for telling the Harry
Of
Styles
course,
story. It's gonna
guys.
take me a while to get over that one.
One last question before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can we see you on Bachelor in Paradise?
So I would love to go to Paradise. If they ask me, the answer would be a resounding yes.
Awesome. We love to hear it.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Kate. And thank you to Erika Cervantes for producing this episode. Thank you to Harry Styles. I mean,
Thank
what
you,
a
Harry.
guy.
We stand.
And we'll be back next week.